Morning. It is, what time is it? It is 8:55 a.m. on April 7th. It's a Sunday. Just had some words with Grandpa, and I'm heading to NOC now. Had a really good sleep. In the last clip, you had heard me pretty congested and pretty tired. Feeling much better today and now in general, but still, I do have a sickness, and I mean, what can you do? It's not really that bad. The only sad part about it is that it makes me a little less social. So when I got into camp last night, I probably could have gone to bed almost at 7, but I stayed up till like 9:15. It was funny, at one point, I woke up and I'd fallen asleep listening to Harmontown. So I took the headphones out and tried to put my phone up so that I wouldn't be like rolling and tossing and turning over it. I accidentally pushed like the play button, so all of a sudden the words of Dan Harmon at an absurdly high volume level were ringing out throughout the campground, and I was like, oh shit, like just clear as day, you know. Anyway though, yeah, I woke up early 6 a.m. this morning. It was raining pretty hard, and I could hear a few people kind of packing up, getting ready to go before the sun even rose. But, you know, I was content. I knew I was going to get up earlier than I had planned, so I just kind of laid it there for a bit and enjoyed the comfortable rising of the sun in my warm and dry tent as I gradually was able to see more and more and more. Packed up all my stuff. I've got sort of a wet day packing regiment now that I'm trying out. It's not 100% foolproof or anything like that, but basically, you know, the orientation of all my gear, where it's placed kind of depends on the day and sort of what the conditions are. So I have my sleeping pad inside of my bag so that it can stay drier than if it starts to rain again. But right now it's wet out here, but it's not actually actively raining, so it's nicer than it was the other day. But in any case, it was a nice morning for what it was worth. I mean, I enjoyed packing up everything, listening to Harmontown. It was a great episode. Dan, Jeff, and Spencer, they were all on point with their shtick. It was like an old episode when they used to be Meltdown or something. So that was funny. And I had to go get my bear bag, which allowed me to have the opportunity to relieve myself of a much-needed pee. Came back, drank coffee, drank some water. Went to the privy, and the privy was actually quite nice. I don't know if I'm just getting more and more used to it, but it was a relatively clean privy, and you know, when you see the state of the toilet inside of a privy, you just pray to God that for some reason there is dirt all over it and not human shit. I think it is dirt, but at the same time, I don't know. It's not like dirt is being projectiled off of human bodies when they go into the privy, whereas shit certainly is. So trying to be careful. Really don't want to get norovirus or any of that other bullshit. It might behoove me at some point in the near future to go ahead and try shitting in the woods, just so I get more comfortable with that as well as an alternative. I think that's probably a much more sanitary way to poop. But you know, the thing about that is just finding a good place to do it at the right time. Privy's a little bit more convenient. I don't know. I think I'm graduating with my shit game from, you know, domestic house toilet to privy, and ultimately to digging a hole. Because I can control myself and be careful with what I'm doing, but I don't know how the other surfaces in the privy work in terms of what their filth status is. And I also don't know exactly how infections and all that stuff start. But in any case, went to the privy, headed out, had to do a little bit of a repair just now. Had this plastic bag, and the contents of the bag had all spilled out, and there was a hole in the bottom of the bag, and I don't really know how that happened, but I was like, damn. Excuse me. Had to fix that. So I emptied all the contents out, and then I just sealed the bag shut by melting the plastic and then like kind of pinching it together. And that seems to have done the trick. So that just took a like I don't know, 2.5 minute pee break and extended it to like 8 minutes. So all good now. You gotta do what you gotta do. I am sort of treating my hands with general suspicion. I'm trying my best to not touch my eyes with them. Certainly never put anything in my mouth that I'm touching directly with my hands. Trying to definitely eat by using sort of the wrappers of whatever I'm eating as like a napkin or something. Damn it, going uphill. But yeah, should be a pretty interesting day in terms of where I'm trying to get to. The NOC is supposed to have a nice restaurant, so after a day out here like this, I'm sure that'll be a welcome treat. Won't have to cook anything. I do need to buy some more fuel, but beyond that, I'm already infirmed, and now I'm going uphill. I'm trying to speak and breathe, and there's a bit of a competition there going on because I don't want to lose consciousness from lack of breath, but I also don't want to have a breathy flow to my words. So that's an insoluble relationship. It's nice out here. I don't know if I left relatively early or relatively late, but I haven't seen anyone else out here, so it seems like I left at a good time. Somewhere between the early crowd and the late crowd, I guess. There were some people still in their tents, which every time I leave somewhere, again, not really feeling particularly early, I look around and I see people in their tents, and I'm like, God, I would get out of that tent as fast as I could. You know, I wake up and I pretty much start immediately doing things. Like, the sleep has restored my desire to organize and, I don't know, take in food and drink. I don't just lay there and, like, if I'm laying there, it's because I'm going to go back to sleep. I don't consciously lay there and just, like, look up at the ceiling or whatever, the roof, the top of my tent. Fair enough to those who do, but that's just something I've never indulged in. So, all that to say, you know, I don't actually mind being sick like this, so I feel like it makes me a little easier going, because I guess maybe it's just the feeling of that vulnerability of sickness, where I just feel not as quick, you know. Playing checkers last night with Allie, not only was I cold, which didn't do me any favors, but I just really couldn't think straight. I was just like going to white my thoughts. I wasn't being distracted. I just, like, my consciousness was just fuzzying out. The only thing I could do, I was basically falling asleep, like, while still awake. I was going into some brainwave state where, like, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm not thinking about not thinking. I'm not thinking about thinking. It's just literally like the static on a TV, and like the white noise just like gets turned up incrementally louder, and before you know it, you know, you're like a lighthouse. You're just like empty, shining a light out through your eyes. Man, yeah. So that kind of state is somewhat fun to be in, just because, I don't know, it's kind of like being drunk a little bit. I don't know if my body, if it's a side effect or if it's an actual purposeful state that my body puts me into so that I can, like, I don't know, like if there's like a rush of endorphins because I'm not feeling well to compensate for that. But it's just sort of a fun state to be in. Jeez. Yeah. I suppose I didn't have much to say. I just felt like talking for some reason. I mean, I guess because I did. But all that being said, despite, I guess, this might even be an instance of the lack of focus I'm talking about, I just kind of feel dulled, you know, not as quick-witted, or even reaction time-wise, I don't really feel like I could, well, I guess my body would probably snap out of it in a heartbeat if I needed to, but certainly low levels of focus and attention. So with that being said, I guess I'll go back to my music now, because I can just listen to that and march to the rhythm. Should be about 3.5 or 4 hours before I get to the first shelter. Take a little bit of a break and then head the rest of the couple hours left after that to the NOC. Can't remember if Benji said for me to let him know about when I was going to be here or what, but I guess I could probably try to review that there. I'm in no rush really to make any kind of plans to meet people. I don't know, it just seems like a burden. It seems like, I don't know, it seems like a selfish request. I don't know, to be out here is like a special thing, and to a large degree it's solitary. I mean, if you choose it to be. So having to juggle meeting someone else out here, I don't know, kind of throws you off the whole thing. But I suppose that's appropriate, because if you're being trained for anything in life, I'm guessing it wouldn't be quite a meaningful and poignant lesson if you were to exist in a vacuum. You do have to be distracted. You do have to go through things that try to take your focus and attention away from your goal. Because if you were just able to achieve your goal with no friction or anything like that, I mean, it's a cliche to say, but I mean, it would feel a little ill-gotten, a little less potent, because it's oh, well, I learned how to do this and that in this environment, but this environment isn't really replicable in real life, so I guess the lessons can only be applied broadly at best, whereas if you are constantly barraged by real life in the midst of the quest that you're partaking in, then if you're able to still complete the quest despite all of the obstacles in your way, both self-imposed and otherwise from without, then I guess you could say, hey, I'll take this back with me. I will be informed by this experience to have this resolved. I mean, obviously, nothing is actually this explicit when you learn something. It's just something that you sort of take in internally and internalize. So I don't know. I don't feel beholden to anyone right now. I do feel a bit beholden to Erica, because she's manning down the whole house and the dogs and everything. But aside from that, because she has split the responsibilities that we used to share, or she has taken them solely on anyway, she's really the only person I feel accountable to, checking in with, and we're not going to be making any plans, but that sort of thing. Man, what a weaving narrative. Anyway, I really will go now. I think what I just said was a good sentiment, but I doubt I could have anything else like that again. So, music time to just chug along. It's 9:08 now, so a few more hours and I should be where I'm going to be taking my first break. What does this sign say? Prescribed fire area. Oh, dang. Crazy. Anyway, I will talk to you again later. Bye.